Let me ask you something. Have you ever been in a moment where you felt like you were crumbling on the inside, but had to put on a strong face of the world? Maybe you were dealing with something tough, work pressure, a breakup, financial struggles, but you felt like admitting it would make you seem weak. I've been there too. In fact, I want to share a story about a time in my life when I thought being vulnerable was the last thing I could afford. The moment I thought vulnerability was weakness. A few years ago, I went through a rough patch. I had just lost a big opportunity one had worked so hard for, and honestly, it felt like the ground had been pulled out from under me. But instead of talking about it or asking for support, I decided to handle it like a man. I buried myself in work, avoided my friends, and pretended like everything was fine. The truth? I was miserable. One night, a close friend called me out. He said, "Man, I can tell something's off. What's going on?" At first, I brushed it off, but eventually I cracked. I told him how I felt like a failure and how scared I was that I'd never bounce back. You know what happened next? He didn't judge me. He didn't laugh. Instead, he shared his own struggles and how he'd felt the same way before. That conversation didn't just lift a weight off my shoulders. It taught me something life-changing. Vulnerability isn't weakness. It's strength. Why men avoid vulnerability. Let's talk about why this happens to so many of us. From the time we're boys, we're told to man up, be tough, and don't cry. Society has drilled it into our heads that showing emotion equals weakness. So, we build walls. We hide our fears, doubts, and struggles because we're terrified of being judged. But here's the thing. Bottling it up doesn't make the pain go away. It just isolates us and keeps us from living authentically. What vulnerability really means. Vulnerability isn't about breaking down or losing control. It's about having the courage to show up as your true self, even when it feels uncomfortable. It's saying, "This is me, flaws and all," and trusting that you're enough. When you embrace vulnerability, a few amazing things happen. 1. You connect on a deeper level. People are drawn to authenticity. When you're real about your struggles, it opens the door for meaningful relationships. 2. You grow stronger. Facing your emotions head-on helps you learn, heal, and evolve. 3. You inspire others. By being open, you give others the courage to do the same. So, how do you take something that feels uncomfortable and turn it into power? Let's break it down. 1. Start with self-awareness. Pay attention to what you're feeling. Instead of shoving those emotions aside, name them. Are you scared? Angry? Overwhelmed? Owning your feelings is the first step. 2. Find a safe space. You don't have to share your heart with everyone. Start with someone you trust, a friend, mentor, or even a journal. 3. Reframe your thinking. Instead of seeing vulnerability as exposing weakness, see it as building courage. It takes guts to be real in a world that celebrates masks. 4. Take small steps. You don't have to dive in all at once. Maybe it's opening up about a tough day or admitting you're unsure about something. Vulnerability grows stronger with practice. 5. Turn vulnerability into action. Once you face your emotions, ask yourself, what's the next step? Use what you've learned to make a change, set a boundary, or take a leap forward. A story to inspire you. I want to share one more story. A man I met at a workshop told me how he struggled with vulnerability for years. He was a strong one in his family, the guy everyone relied on. But inside, he felt alone and overwhelmed. One day, he decided to open up to his wife. He told her about his fears, his insecurities, and how much pressure he felt. He expected her to see him differently, maybe even lose respect for him. Instead, she hugged him and said, "I've been waiting for you to let me in." That moment didn't just save their relationship. It changed how he saw himself. He realized vulnerability wasn't a burden. It was a bridge to connection and strength. I want to challenge you to take one step toward vulnerability this week. Think about something you've been holding inside. It could be a fear, a failure, or even a dream you're scared to pursue. Share it with someone you trust, or write it down and reflect on it. Then, come back to this video and let me know how it felt. Did it make you feel lighter, stronger, more connected? If this video resonated with you, don't keep it to yourself. Hit that like button. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it. And subscribe to Masculinity Mastery for more real, honest conversations about what it means to be a strong man. Drop a comment below. Have you ever had a moment where vulnerability made you stronger? What's your biggest fear about being vulnerable? Your story could inspire someone else to take their first step. Brother, it's time to let go of the fear and embrace the power of being real. Vulnerability isn't your enemy. It's your secret weapon. It's the key to deeper connections, personal growth, and true confidence. Remember, strength isn't about never falling. It's about having the courage to rise, even when it's hard. Let's rise together. See you in the next video.